Events in this program are inspired by a true story. Names, dates, and details have been changed. Viewer discretion is advised. On this episode of Bizarre Murders.
That'll be $3, please.
A young woman dreams of a fairy tale life.
Baby.
And does everything in her power to conceive it. But when a grisly discovery is made in her gelato shop, her dreams of happily ever after
Get out!
Jesus.
are shattered forever.
Can you take me to the border?
Nobody should die that way.
I've never seen anything that horrific.
One of the duties of a pathologist is to determine the cause of death.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen. All for free. No subscription required. Download Veely now.
Like and subscribe.
Brooklyn, New York, 2000. Vera is an ambitious young woman who works full-time at a daycare
Hi, how are you?
and part-time at an old-fashioned ice cream shop, satisfying both her love for children and ice cream.
Sure.
She dreams of falling in love with a handsome prince, building that white picket fence, and having lots of babies.
That'll be $3, please. You're so lucky. Thank you.
Scott is a regular patron of the ice cream parlor.
On the house.
Thank you.
He's an entrepreneur who's launching his own e-zine, and he has a soft spot for Vera. He drops by every day after dinner for his regular double scoop of mint chocolate chip on a sugar cone.
You look really nice.
Thank you.
Scott sweet talks Vera,
I brought you something.
You did?
showering her with gifts and compliments.
God. Oh, they're beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Scott visits Vera every day
I can't imagine my life without you.
until just 1 month after they meet.
Will you marry me?
Yes.
Throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of different folks. And what I've found out is that when people are so focused on some idyllic fairy tale life, they tend to overlook a lot of things like A, do they really know each other? And B, do they really know each other? These two young bucks are so in love with the idea of being in love. They have no problems getting hitched a mere month after meeting. So I'm asking you, is this a match made in heaven or a recipe for disaster?
Soon after their wedding, Vera and Scott focus on having a family. But after months of trying, they're still not pregnant. Vera has been vegetarian for years, but in an attempt to eat healthier and improve her chances of conceiving, she decides to make the final leap and become vegan.
For those of you not in the know, vegan basically means no animal products, which also means no dairy. This could prove problematic for a woman who serves ice cream for a living, kind of like an alcoholic working in a liquor store. What could go wrong?
Her newfound veganism means Vera can no longer indulge in her favorite pick-me-up.
Hey.
Hi.
In an attempt to cheer her up, Scott plies her with presents.
Chocolate.
Scott. Chocolate has dairy in it.
It's Swiss.
But Scott is determined to be Vera's knight in shining armor.
Hey.
And presents her with a brilliant business plan. Scott tells Vera that he'll forego his e-zine venture.
What?
And instead use his money to set up a gelato shop.
I love the name.
He'll run the business, and she can make the gelato.
What do you say?
Yes.
Yeah?
You are the best.
At first, their partnership works like a charm.
Hi.
Business is booming,
What can I get for you?
and Vera pours everything she has into the gelato shop.
Baby.
Should we close the shop early?
I think we should.
But after months of living and working together, their true colors come out.
Do you have to chew so loud?
Do you have to read so loud?
It was only a matter of time before these two really got to know each other. And the problem with marrying somebody a month after you meet them is eventually their mask falls to the ground and you're left with, well, the person you married. And you know what they say, happy wife, happy life.
Scott soon tires of Vera's obsessive vegan lifestyle
Seriously, Scott?
and loses interest in both Vera and her business. Scott's disdain for Vera's lifestyle ups the tension in their marriage.
Scott,
And in the bedroom,
are you in there?
Despite the fact that Vera obviously can't stand Scott anymore, he's her ticket to motherhood and she's not giving up on her future children without a fight.
Oh, are you such a child?
When people really want something like a baby, it can cause them to do all sorts of things they normally wouldn't. But my advice for Vera in this situation is cut your losses.
I want a divorce, Scott.
Me too.
in the divorce settlement, Vera agrees to buy the business from Scott, and he agrees to move on to greener pastures.
Seems fair.
A quickie marriage that ends in a quickie divorce. This is my surprise face. Easy come, easy go, as they say. It seems that neither one of them are particularly upset that it didn't work out. They're young, they're attractive, there's a bunch more fish in the sea. Or flavors in the gelato shop, or, well, you get the picture.
With Scott out of the picture, Vera spends her time creating new vegan flavors for her shop. Until neighbors complain about the noise.
I'm so sorry about the noise. It's just my new mixer. I've been working on this flavor all night long. I'm really sorry. How about I offer you some gelato on the house?
Who can refuse that kind of apology, especially when it's accompanied by free gelato?
Thank you.
Kind of makes you wonder what's behind all that sugar and sweetness. And I'm not talking about the gelato.
Over the next few weeks, Vera actively searches online dating websites for the father of her future kids. When suddenly, a new customer walks in the door.
Hey.
Hi.
Sorry, don't I know you from the news the other day?
Oh, yeah, probably. I'm Justin.
Vera.
Nice to meet you, Vera.
Nice to meet you. What can I get you?
What do you recommend?
Well,
Justin is a vegan activist and a local celebrity in the movement against meat cause.
pomegranate kale.
I love kale.
Vera is immediately smitten.
On the house.
I like this house.
Vera sets her sights on Justin pretty soon after her divorce. From a psychological perspective, that can tell us a lot about her personality. Insecure? Looking for validation? Unable to be alone? Heck, I just check all of the above.
Thanks.
Vera and Justin start dating as they bond over their shared vegan values.
Perfect.
And it doesn't take long before Vera invites Justin to move in.
Babe, it's perfect. I love it. I think this is the one we should print. You know, we can give out dozens to people during the marches and stuff. It's really good to have a partner on my quest. You know, to save the world from maniacal meat eaters.
That's important work. I'm glad we can do it together.
So you would think a girl like Vera might have learned a thing or two about diving headfirst into a relationship. But no. See, while she's still looking for her Prince Charming, what she really wants is a baby, which is why she refuses to take the blinders off. But the problem with tunnel vision is you can't see the curveballs coming.
The passion for their united cause spills over into the bedroom.
I love you.
You too.
What do you think about us having a baby?
Babe, my priority right now is the movement. A kid is the last thing I need.
This is exactly what I meant about curveballs. Vera just assumed that having a baby was at the top of the priority list for Justin. She never considered something like asking him if he wanted a baby before they moved in together. The danger in making assumptions is that 9 out of 10 times you're going to be wrong. That leads to disappointment, and inevitably, the gloves come off.
When Justin tells Vera he doesn't want a baby, her dreams of having a family are dashed.
Babe, hurry up. I have a protest this morning.
Okay.
But a desperate Vera refuses to take no for an answer and decides to take matters into her own hands. But the plumbing system is less than reliable in Vera's old apartment,
Babe, come here.
and Justin easily discovers her plan.
Say, birth control? Yeah. This is totally deceptive and unethical.
Deceptive? All I wanted was a family. You promised me a family.
No, I didn't. You're delusional.
Justin!
Angry at Vera for trying to trick him into fatherhood, Justin puts the brakes on their sex life.
That just wasn't cool, babe. No. We need to focus on our emotional connection, not the physical.
After weeks of abstaining from sex, Justin's still not interested. Vera starts to get suspicious. Her worst fears are confirmed when she discovers he's been sexting with another woman.
What's this?
Babe, it's just an old friend.
Just an old friend? All I wanted was a baby. Why can't you give that to me?
What we have here is a classic case of disconnect between the fairy tale of the white picket fence and the reality, which is most guys don't want to have a baby with someone they've only known for 3 weeks.
Get out!
Jesus.
Probably not a lesson most people need to learn, but Vera is on a mission, and in her mind, the clock is ticking.
But the next day, it appears all is forgiven.
Thanks.
I trust your opinion.
Vera even asks Justin to sample a new flavor of gelato, pumpkin flaxseed folly.
Very good.
Good.
Thanks, babe.
After devouring the entire bowl of gelato, Justin suddenly becomes ill.
Babe, are you all right?
I don't feel good.
Unbeknownst to Justin, the newest flavor of gelato has been laced with arsenic.
You shouldn't have lied to me.
I didn't lie. Please. Help.
Justin dies a slow and painful death on the gelato shop floor.
So Vera definitely has an interesting problem-solving style. Women tend to favor poison as their weapon of choice because it's less messy and doesn't require strength to overcome their victim. But the motive behind this murder is unique. Vera poisons her boyfriend because he didn't want a baby and then refused to have sex with her. Very Henry VIII. I'd say Vera's displaying classic narcissistic tendencies with a dash of hypocrisy thrown in. See, she goes out of her way to save the animals of the world, but when it comes to killing another human being, she goes from 0 to 60 in a heartbeat.
After serving Justin his last taste of gelato, Vera proceeds to chop him into pieces.
You may not know this, and why should you, but cutting through a human body is akin to using a butter knife to split wood. It takes an incredible amount of strength. Vera's probably, 110 pounds soaking wet, but she was likely pumped up by adrenaline, which explains how she could dismember Justin limb by limb. The fact that she was so methodical and unfazed by the whole deal suggests she can disassociate from reality just a little too easily. And that's not good news for Vera's future boyfriends.
2 days after killing and disposing of Justin, Vera files a missing persons report.
When was the last time you saw your boyfriend?
It was a couple of days ago. We got in a fight, and he stormed out. I thought he'd be back by now. Or maybe he's left me for good.
I doubt that.
Vera charms the detective, playing the part of jilted lover to perfection.
Can I offer you one of our lemonade lime tofu torpedoes? It's a house specialty.
Sure.
Okay.
Always open to new experiences.
Just before the detective leaves, Vera makes him one last offer.
Sure you don't want to check in the basement for bodies or anything?
I'll see ya.
Bye, detective.
The fact that Vera can joke about looking for bodies in the basement without batting an eye shows she's brazen. She's practically daring the cop to call her bluff. She's playing with him. People like that are even more dangerous because it means they have a blatant disregard for authority and no fear of consequences, which translates to, watch your back, guys.
With Justin out of the picture permanently, Vera goes back to the drawing board, looking for yet another Prince Charming. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Vera, a week after Justin has his last taste of gelato, a maintenance man has been called in to do work on her building.
Big surprise, those little air fresheners won't actually conceal the smell of a dead body. Think rotting meat mixed with a dirty diaper left out in the hot sun for a week. Believe me, even after 25 years in the Bureau, it's not a scent that I ever got used to it, and I can still smell it if I think about it.
When Detective Nelson arrives,
What the?
he makes a grisly discovery.
Not one, but 2 mutilated bodies buried in pumpkin flaxseed gelato. We know she poisoned and chopped up her activist boyfriend, but who else did Vera have it in for?
Will you marry me?
Yes.
Vera and Scott got married only a month after meeting each other. They soon opened a vegan gelato shop together, and their love flourished. But Scott soon got bored of the business and his wife,
Scott.
and refused to give her the one thing she wanted in life.
Go away.
A child. After divorcing Scott, he refuses to move out. So Vera, determined to find the man of her dreams, goes full steam ahead.
What, you think you're gonna impress some loser wearing that?
She begins to date, while Scott hammers non-stop at her self-esteem.
Nothing but a cheap slut. No one is ever gonna want to have a baby with you. You'll be alone forever. Your stupid little store that doesn't make any money because it doesn't want to sell actual ice cream, so you're an idiot.
As Scott dodges Vera, he hits his head on the corner of the fireplace.
Scott.
Whoops. Vera's impulsive side got the better of her there, and yep, even though her intention wasn't to kill him, it's through her actions that he died. And in the eyes of the law, that's murder. It looks like this split-second decision might have been what kick-started Vera's killing career.
At first, Vera is horrified, but soon realizes Scott is finally gone from her life for good. But the next morning, Vera's faced with a formidable task: how to get rid of the body.
If you ask me, killing your ex-husband and chopping up his body without shedding a tear is a textbook definition of a sociopath, which basically means she's completely devoid of empathy. In Vera's mind, she's got to cover up the fact that she's killed Scott, even if it was by accident. Most of us at this point would call the police and confess our sins, but not Fantastic Vera.
The bodies are identified as her ex-husband and boyfriend, who she reported missing a week ago. Detective Nelson issues a warrant for Vera's arrest for double murder.
Please, open up.
At this point, you might think Vera is going to wave the white flag. I mean, she's wanted for double homicide and the police are at her door. But a woman like Vera doesn't give up that easily. This wasn't part of her happily ever after scheme. But if there's one skill Vera possesses, it's an ability to think on her feet so she can easily switch lanes.
After finding Vera's apartment empty, Detective Nelson issues an all-points bulletin for Vera's arrest.
Could you take me to the airport, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Vera flees, heading to the closest airport.
That's Vera the Vixen. She's known around town as the animal rights activist.
You just turn the radio off. I hate the news.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Suddenly, she changes her mind.
My flight's canceled. Can you take me to the border?
All right.
Vera's instincts are good. She's smart to avoid the airport because police will put a hold on a person's passport as soon as they've issued a warrant for the arrest. They're going to be searching not only Vera's home, but every other place she's ever stepped foot in. So hightailing it out of the country could work in her favor.
All right.
12 hours later,
Wakey, wakey, we're here.
an exhausted Vera arrives in Canada
That'll be $3,500.
and stiffs the cabbie.
Are you serious?
Sorry.
Come on. Are you?
And to ensure she looks nothing like her former self, Vera, forever the master manipulator, comes up with the best disguise ever.
Looks like all of Vera's dreams are finally coming true. But can she hold it all together, or will her former career as a killer gelato maker catch up with her?
It's been 6 months, and despite a nationwide hunt for the beautiful blonde, there have been no leads until
Holy.
the taxi driver who drove Vera to Canada comes forward.
Detective Nelson.
He tells the detective that the woman wanted for double murder is hiding out north of the border.
Yeah, I dropped her off in Quebec. She said she couldn't pay. So I remember.
Free advice: it never pays to be cheap. Of all the men Vera charmed throughout the years, she overlooked the one man who could bring her down: her taxi driver.
With the cabbie's help, Detective Nelson tracks down Vera in Canada.
Just a minute.
So, we meet again.
So we do, Detective.
Looks like you've been busy. All right, turn around.
Scott was immature. I mean, he still lived with me after the divorce. And he pissed me off. So I took a swing at him, and he fell. Kind of made the rest easy.
Vera freely admits to killing both her ex-husband
Justin would have been good
and her former boyfriend, Justin,
if he wasn't a cheater.
and disposing of their bodies in the basement of her gelato shop.
Why would you do that to someone you love?
They didn't give me what I wanted.
What was that?
A baby.
Vera is a narcissist who likely suffers from manipulative behavior disorder, so when neither guy could give her what she wanted, they ended up 6 feet under. The scary part is this woman was perfectly sane and didn't suffer from psychotic delusions, which in layman's terms means she knew what she was doing.
Vera is convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole.
Hi, baby.
While in prison, she gives birth to a healthy baby girl, whom she names Buttercup.
You're gonna be so big and so strong.
Her dreams of being a mother
Just like your mama.
finally realized.
Time's up.
Please, just one more minute.
You know the rules.
I'll see you soon.
Not exactly the vision of motherhood Vera had in mind. Most people who can't have a baby either visit a fertility clinic or adopt. Instead, Vera took matters into her own hands, and when she didn't get what she wanted from her fellas, she chopped them up into little bitty pieces. Now she'll spend the rest of her life alone with no chance of getting that white picket fence. It just goes to show that killing people to get your fairy tale life doesn't pay off. And I guess that's the problem. When you build your dreams on a mountain of gelato, it eventually melts and you're left with nothing. It looks like Vera finally got her just desserts.
The events in this program are inspired by a true story. Names, dates, and details have been changed. Viewer discretion is advised. On this episode of Bizarre Murders, when a beloved matriarch disappears without a trace.
Why would she leave her car here?
Her family thinks something terrible has happened. But when investigators find no evidence of foul play,
This could be the answer.
her brother turns to an unconventional source for help. Will the gift of second sight lead to a revelation or bitter disappointment? Francine, the head of a family-run maple syrup business, hasn't been seen in 24 hours. Her car has been found abandoned, but no sign of Francine. The last anyone heard, she was drinking and playing the slots at the Palais de Folie.
Off to the casino, huh? Oh, well, why would she leave her car here?
She'd probably had a few and called a boyfriend to pick her up before getting on the highway. It's happened before. I'll drive it back to my place. Merci, Inspector.
Francine and her family have been in the maple syrup business for generations. She's made a small fortune through hard work and keeping her people close. Her younger brother Antoine runs the day-to-day operations.
Let's see what the LaBosse have to say about these numbers, huh?
And keeps the peace with local rivals and politicians.
Don't forget your syrup. Don't put it all on one set of pancakes, eh? Yes.
Robert, Francine's nephew, didn't quite inherit the family's knack for the business.
Merde!
And he can't afford to lose a drop of product. Despite his best efforts,
Tabarouette!
his sugar bush just isn't yielding enough sap to meet Francine's strict family quota.
Come on!
What was that, huh?
You can't even skate!
It's a raucous family, but Francine runs it like she runs her business.
So we put it on! Come on! That goes Toronto!
Why don't you sort of get me another range and so...
We.
There's no doubt about who's in charge.
Hurry up, Antoine!
Yeah, hurry up.
I'm coming!
It may look all joie de vivre, but you don't need to be a cop to know that every family has simmering tensions below the surface. You see, Francine is head of the family and boss of the family business. They all depend on her for their jobs. And Francine's a tough coach. You didn't bring in your syrup quota? Penalty. Get lippy or out of line? Benched. Maybe for good.
What are you doing, love?
Oh, come on, man!
So everyone's just a little bit afraid of old Francine.
Francine works hard, but she plays just as hard. She's famous for having a good time. Her week-long benders are legendary. A blur of rye, men, any luck? And money.
Inspector!
Francine has now been gone for 3 days, and her brother Antoine thinks something's wrong.
You know Francine, huh? My sister...
The night her car was found, she was supposed to meet him for some poutine and business talk.
I wait there for hours, she not show up. I've been calling her for 3 days now. She no answer, nothing.
So, Antoine, she may be out just having a good time and she forgot to call home. I mean, what makes you think something bad has happened to her?
You don't understand, Inspector. She calls always. She cannot make it for dinner. Let alone gone for 3 days. Not so much as hello, I'm safe.
Antoine, you know your sister. She has the reputation. She likes to party a lot.
We.
She doesn't come home sometimes. We all know that. Look, sooner or later, she'll come to her senses and she'll come home. Antoine, if I hear anything, I'll call you. All right?
So here we have a lady who really knows how to sin and who's gone MIA before. The thing is, if you're a grown-up, it isn't against the law to drop out of sight and get your family all worried. Most of the time, nothing has even gone down. When I was at the Bureau, we only designated maybe 15% of all missing persons cases as involuntary, as in kidnapped or killed. Sometimes people just want to get away from it all, and there's nothing you or the cops can do.
A week after Antoine reports his sister missing, a newspaper article grabs his attention.
This could be the answer.
A bank teller in Montreal named Alice recently led police to a missing child she'd seen on TV. She claims she can tune into someone's whereabouts if she sees a picture of them. But not everyone in Francine's family is as enthusiastic as Antoine.
Psychics are full of merde.
What do we have to lose, eh? She found that boy, we?
Antoine sends Alice a photograph of Francine, as well as some of her personal belongings. Using these items, Alice tunes into Francine.
Hey, babe. How's it going?
She comes out of her trance with a cryptic message.
This is Alice. Do the letters CRK mean anything to you?
God, Liz, those are the letters on Francine's license plate. How did you know that?
I got a vision. I think I can help you find her. Have a good day.
Antoine is so impressed with Alice's vision, he buys her a bus ticket to Laurierville.
Alice.
Antoine.
Bonjour.
It's a pleasure.
As an investigator who deals in nothing but the facts, ma'am, I cringe, and I mean I really cringe when these people enter the picture. They're usually in it for the attention and the money. But even I have to admit that Alice doesn't seem like your typical psychic. First of all, she works at a bank, not a strip mall. No crystal balls, no flowing robes, no 1-800 number, and oh yeah, she doesn't charge for her services. Like I said, she's not your typical psychic. And if it gives you hope, why not? Just beware.
Having no luck when they went to where Francine's car was found, Alice's next stop is Robert's sugar shack.
Francine is leaving us a trail of clues. She's telling me to come here. We must follow the mystic breadcrumbs. Oh! I've been hit! You're not looking for a missing person. You're looking for a body. Francine's been brutally murdered.
It's an impressive performance, but it's not a surprise because that's what psychics do. They ham it up and explain away anything they're wrong about by saying their insights are open to interpretation. Alice could be making a calculated guess about what happened to Francine. It's what we call cold reading your audience, and it can be pretty convincing. But guesswork or not, the fact is, Francine's still missing and the family needs answers. And you gotta wonder, is Alice taking them all for a ride, a cruel ride, or could this psychic actually be on the right path?
With no evidence of foul play in Francine's disappearance, the police say their hands are tied. But armed with Alice's shocking psychic vision, Antoine tries once again to convince them to investigate.
Look, without any evidence, my hands are tied.
There may not be any hard evidence, but Alice's visions point to something bad happening.
I saw it clear as day, Inspector. Someone has blood on their hands.
Uh-huh. These are those magic visions, right? Okay.
It makes sense, Inspector. That explains why Francine never came home that night.
So does a few Ryan Gingers.
Maybe it was a competitor. You know, Francine has been feuding with that no-good idiot Leblanc over his price fixing.
Okay, I'll look into it. But, and no disrespect, lady, go easy on the hocus pocus.
I must go wherever my visions lead me, Inspector.
All right, let's hear about those visions.
We were in a sugar shack when I had the vision.
You can't really blame the cops in a situation like this. I mean, if we treated every hunch, opinion, whim, or especially a psychic vision as a credible lead, we'd be too busy following up on junk to catch anyone. It's not that we don't feel for the family. We do. It's just that our job is to follow the evidence.
Ouais, c'est Boucher. Je veux confirmer que Leblanc, là, il était-il au...
When Inspector Boucher looks into the alibi of Francine's rival LeBlanc, it checks out.
Chartrand, lui. OK. Non, c'est tout pour l'instant. Merci beaucoup.
He was at the local maple syrup festival.
Ah ouais, c'est beau. Si.
Inspector Boucher then tries to track Francine's movements through her bank and phone records. He's stymied.
Now, Francine, où êtes-vous? Just sober up and come home already. Make my life easier.
Francine is so old-fashioned, she doesn't have a cell phone and always carries a lot of cash. And there's just no way to keep track of her whereabouts. The next day, determined to solve the mystery, Alice, Antoine, and Robert go back to his sugar shack.
I can feel her presence. Is this new?
I spilled some syrup the other day. I cleaned it up. It happens all the time.
Francine. She's here.
Roberts had enough of Alice and her visions and orders her back to Montreal. Alice reluctantly agrees. But before she leaves, she pays a visit to Antoine.
I did want to let you know. I feel like Robert knows more than he's letting on.
He has been acting weird ever since you got here. Like you spooked him when you were drawn to his sugar shack. You don't think Robert had anything to...
Just keep an eye on him.
Oui.
So Psychic Alice has been sent packing like a crystal ball rubbing busybody, and still no one knows if Francine's fallen victim to anything more serious than a bad hangover.
Robert.
But Antoine needs to believe that Alice's visions could actually reveal the truth about Francine. She's his only hope. But as they say, hope for the best, plan for the worst.
The police have uncovered no leads as to Francine's whereabouts, and the case is stalling. But Francine's brother Antoine refuses to give up. The police finally have to admit that she's been gone too long to simply be on a boozing binge.
You had to drop Le Puck into the game for real. Now, Inspector, something terrible has happened to Francine. Huh? I can feel it. Why would she just take off and let her business go down the tube, huh? Yeah, it don't make no sense.
Antoine fills the inspector in on Alice's suspicions about Robert and his own.
He hides out in his sugar shack, doing nothing. Doesn't even seem to care that Francine is missing. I'm telling you, Alice is right. Robert, he knows something.
100 miles away in Montreal, Alice continues to be tormented by the visions of violence.
Oui, hello?
To Alice's surprise, it's Inspector Boucher. He says the case has gone cold and he'll take any help he can get.
I'll be in Laurierville as soon as I can. You have to take me seriously.
Back in Laurierville, things immediately get heated between Alice and Robert.
Somebody important in your life.
What is she even doing here? Caliste Sacrament.
I had another vision. I think I know what happened to Francine.
What? Abduction by aliens? Bigfoot, peut-être? Maybe call Mulder a Scully.
You see, Inspector? He's acting très bizarre.
All right, look, if you want, I'll ask Robert to take a polygraph test. But you'll have to take one too.
Ben oui.
Inspector, I think I know what happened to...
All in good time, madame.
Roll your eyes if you want, but even if we think they're full of, merde, psychics can serve a purpose. They don't solve anything, but if they reassure the family, then they're a useful tool in the investigative toolbox. Why? They keep the family off your back.
As Antoine passes his test with flying colors, there's no sign of Robert.
Polygraphs are another tool in our arsenal. The purpose of a poly isn't just to detect if someone's lying, it's to point out inconsistencies in their story. If someone refuses to outright take one, it looks fishy, but if someone says they'll do it and then backs out, well, that's a huge red flag. And Robert is now on Boucher's radar.
Do you know where Robert is?
Monsieur Inspector, now may I show you what I saw? That is where you will find Francine's body.
That is the lightning tree. It's a few miles up the road. It was struck by lightning at 95.
Alice's drawing is of a place only locals would know about. Even Inspector Boucher has to admit that Alice's latest vision is worth checking out.
Alice hasn't quite won over the skeptical investigator, but she's got his attention. More importantly for Boucher, Robert's just shined a light on himself by blowing off a lie detector test. So Boucher comes up with a plan. If he plays Alice and Robert off against each other, maybe Robert will reveal what, if anything, he knows about Francine's disappearance.
You were supposed to be at the polygraph. You never showed up.
When the inspector questions Robert about why he skipped the polygraph...
I forgot. I'm sorry. Can I reschedule? I have things to do today, but perhaps Later the week, tomorrow.
I'll tell you what. Why don't I drive you to the station right now?
But instead of going to police headquarters, Inspector Boucher drives Robert out of town and confronts him at the place Alice saw in her vision. The place where she says they'll find Francine.
Keep going.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? What is this?
Does this look familiar to you?
No. I've never seen this place.
Lies. Antoine, start digging.
No! Stop! Stop!
Whatever this place is, it has a dramatic effect on Robert. He breaks down and begs to be taken to police headquarters.
I have something to tell you.
Let's go.
Robert, back there you said you had something to say. So why don't you start talking?
I didn't mean to do anything. It just happened. I panicked. Merde.
Take your time, Robert.
Robert tells Inspector Boucher that he'd been stealing syrup from Francine for months and selling it on the black market.
Remember, maple syrup is liquid gold in this part of the world. Stealing it is kind of like tapping into a whiskey distillery in Scotland. It's a very big deal.
Selling to other people! You think I wouldn't notice your fisty foot? Tu es fini, fini! You'll never see another dime from me, cochon.
Look, you don't cross someone like Francine. Besides the money, she's gonna banish Robert from the family forever. She'll take everything from him and leave him alone in the gutter, a total disgrace. That'd make anyone snap.
Yeah! Oh no. Merde!
After killing Francine, Robert realized he had to come up with a believable story to explain her disappearance. With Francine's body hidden away, he drives her car to a spot where he knows the police will find it and places himself there to deflect suspicion.
Robert didn't intend to murder Francine. It's what we call an impulse kill. But those are not random. There's intense passion, a buildup of anger or jealousy that explodes when someone's reached their limit. And Robert had clearly reached his.
I thought you'd never suspect.
Robert thought he bought himself some time when the police assumed Francine was at the casino, where she spends most Friday nights.
But then, that witch shows up. I thought the license plate thing was just a coincidence, but then she saw my sugar shack.
Here.
Even though he assumed all psychics were scam artists, when Alice claimed she knew Francine had been murdered, Robert got scared that somehow she knew he killed her.
Oh!
Maybe it was a competitor. You know, Francine has been feuding with that no-good idiot Le...
He told Inspector Boucher to look into Francine's competitor as a desperate distraction. When Alice sensed where Robert had hidden Francine in the sugar shack, he panicked and moved the body before they could find it. Robert thought he outmaneuvered Alice, but he still couldn't shake the feeling she could see right through him. He started to crack, and the only solution was to get Alice out of the picture.
Psychic or no psychic, Robert still has one small problem. Eventually, the cops get wise to the casino story, and then, surprise, Alice is back in town and breathing down his neck. The truth is closing in on him from all sides.
I don't know how she knows these things. I don't care. Just keep her away from me.
Okay, Robert. You're under arrest. Stand up, please.
His plan was to take over Francine's sugar bush until it became clear Francine wouldn't be coming back. Eventually, she'd be declared legally dead, and he'd stand to inherit it and part of the family fortune.
I've heard a lot of confessions, but this one's in a class of its own. Most people fess up because they know you've got enough evidence to put them away, and they want to cop a plea deal. Robert, on the other hand, gives it up because he's scared witless, not of cops, but of a psychic. Oh, that's beautiful. Even Alice didn't see that one coming.
Francine's body is recovered near the lightning tree, exactly where Alice said it would be.
Am I going to win?
Alice goes back to Montreal, her first murder case wrapped up. She's on her way to a new career as a psychic detective. The word psychic is never mentioned in Inspector Boucher's report. She's simply referred to as a confidential informant. But her involvement helps put Robert away for 30 years.
How did she know? How did she know?
Not something you hear about every day, is it? A psychic tipping the scales in a murder investigation. Cops and clairvoyants, yeah, strange bedfellows. And don't get me wrong, we do not make a habit of reading tea leaves. But sometimes, just sometimes, you catch a break in a case that's so out of left field, you wonder if there's something more to police work than gathering hard evidence. I mean, we investigators follow our instincts all the time. Is that so different from what a psychic like Alice does? We sweat our suspects, and Alice certainly put a cold sweat on Robert. He just couldn't take it anymore. You might say he got tapped out. I can't explain how she did it. I deal with the law of the land, not the laws of the universe. But whether you're a believer or a skeptic, one thing's for sure, justice will catch up to you, one way or another.